If you often feel tired, unfocused, or stuck, your evenings might be the reason. Most of us underestimate the power of how the day actually ends. In this video, I'm going to share evening habits that changed my productivity, my sleep, and my creativity. Hey everyone, Mark here. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset of a Musician. I've already talked about my morning routine and how that changed my life. If you want to watch that, got a link up here or probably here. Today I want to talk about something just as important, and that is your evening routine and how that affects your day-to-day life. So let's dive in and start with why evenings matter more than you think. Speaking from my own experience, I never really cared or thought about what I did in the evenings because I just wanted to relax. And for me, relaxing meant watching movies, scrolling on my phone, and when my wife went to bed, playing guitar until I basically fell asleep with it. Now, the guitar part might sound productive, and sometimes it was calming, but most of the times it was simply too late for effective practice. What I didn't understand back then was how strongly my evening habits affected my sleep, and as a result of that, the next day. Things like planning the next day, so you wake up proactive instead of reactive. Excessive screen time, that is overstimulating the nervous system. Eating too late, which is impacting the resting heart rate, and blue and bright light, that is disrupting the circadian rhythm and melatonin release. So all of these things directly impact your sleep, which inevitably affects your focus, your creativity, your mood, and most importantly, your health. So let's talk about sleep. Most of us know that sleep is important, yet so many of us still don't take it seriously. And for the biggest part of my life, I certainly didn't. First, because I wasn't informed about how deeply sleep affects productivity and well-being. And second, because I had adopted the identity of a musician who doesn't need much sleep. In my morning routine video, I talked about how my evenings used to look. And I won't deep dive into neuroscience here because that would go far beyond this video, but I want to give you a simple framework. And if you want to explore these topics further, great starting points are Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson and Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. So there are three major processing regulating sleep. Number one is sleep pressure, driven mainly by adenosine. Number two is the circadian rhythm or your biological clock. Melatonin is part of this system, acting as a time signal. And number three is the arousal and nervous system activity. So your mornings and evenings play a massive role in how these systems function. Another crucial concept is non-REM and REM sleep. And for musicians, this is incredibly important because during non-REM sleep, your brain consolidates and stabilizes what you've practiced. So motor patterns become more reliable. Muscle memory strengthens and your skills get saved. And during REM sleep, your brain is highly active in pattern association, in emotional processing, and creative problem solving. That is why you sometimes wake up with ideas, melodies, and solutions. To give you an analogy, think of your brain like a DAW. Everything you learn and practice during the day are audio files, and if you don't sleep well, you wake up the next day, you open your DAW, and a lot of audio files are missing. And this is crucial and so important to understand. And I hope this gives you enough reason to respect sleep more. So now let's talk about common mistakes. I fully understand, and of course I know that musicians often have late schedules like rehearsals and shows. A perfect wind-down routine is not always realistic, but if possible, be mindful of these. Alcohol, big one, and I know how hard it can be to resist alcohol in an environment of rehearsals and shows where it's often just common to drink. Well, alcohol will help you fall asleep faster, but it will also disrupt your REM phase, and that is the stage that is crucial for creativity and emotional processing. You remember? I personally stopped drinking a year ago, and the difference in clarity and energy has been enormous. Screen time and doom scrolling. This might be one of the hardest things for most of us to get rid of in the evening, but I reckon it's the most effective one to be less stressed, to sleep better, and to focus on ourselves. Blue light suppresses melatonin, which is a time signal for your body to sleep. And the stimulating content you consume while doom scrolling will activate your sympathetic nervous system. So instead of calming down, your brain stays alert. For me, phone goes off at least an hour before I go to bed, and it stays outside the bedroom. And if you say, Mark, I need my phone to wake up, well, there's a great invention called an alarm clock, which you can buy for like $5 on Amazon. It'll do the trick, I promise. Eating too close to bedtime. If you've ever eaten too close to bedtime and regretted the pizza you've had after the show, you know what I mean. Heavy meals late at night can elevate heart rate and disrupt sleep. A good rule of thumb is avoid eating 2 hours before bed. Overthinking. I know this too well. Journaling and planning the next day have helped me tremendously to get rid of any overthinking while lying in bed. Otherwise, my brain just keeps running at full speed. Caffeine. A game changer if you use it right. Caffeine blocks adenosine, which is the sleep pressure signal. If you want to use caffeine for focus, take it 1 to 2 hours after waking up. You shouldn't use it directly after waking up because that will probably give you a caffeine crash later in the afternoon. So timing matters. I would suggest to avoid caffeine at least 6 to 8 hours before bedtime. So now let's talk about my evening routine. For the longest time I had no real evening routine, but once I implemented one, everything changed. Let's go through it. No screens at least 1 hour before bed. Still the hardest habit for me, to be honest. Therefore, I will lock most of my apps in the evening. I will switch my screen to black and white, and I will try to turn off the phone completely an hour before I go to bed. I've talked enough about the reasons in the last chapter, but you can see this as a kind of exercise to train your focus muscle that is so important to be able to focus for longer periods of time in order to be creative, in order to be productive, and to improve on your instrument. Next up is journaling. All right, I will dedicate time to journal and reflect on my day. And I will always end it with 3 things I'm grateful for and 3 highlights of the day. This can be as simple as writing down that I've seen the sunrise or the sunset, or that I've said something nice to the waitress or whatever. It's just a nice way to end the day with positive thoughts. Family and relationship time. When there are no TVs and no phones, you're left with a great amount of time and focus on your family, on your relationship or marriage or your kids. So that is the time to talk to your significant other about anything that comes to mind. I will always or often combine that with going out for a walk after dinner, which is a very nice way to get fresh air and talk about anything that you want to talk about with your significant other. So talking is so important. Be sure to make time for it. Planning the next day. This is probably the most crucial part for me in order to setting myself up for the next day, in order to stay in the process and to reach my goals. Absolute game changer. It removes mental noise and creates clarity. And last up is reading. I will read in bed with a paperback book in my hands and a reading light to calm down. In the past, I would watch YouTube videos or scroll on my phone, which was so detrimental for restorative sleep, but I just didn't notice. So reading a good book is just a peaceful way to end the day. So I hope this video gave you a new perspective on your evenings and on sleep. If only one of these ideas helps you, that's already a win. If you want to dive deeper into topics like this, please join me in my Mindset Money newsletter. Link is in the description. Leave a like and subscribe if you got something out of this video. And let me know if you want to build your own evening routine, or if you already have one, what it looks like. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.